Thank you. I want everyone here who has had an abortion or knows somebody close to them who had one to raise their hands. Look around you. Look around you. What a constituency. 1 in 4 American women will have abortions in their lifetime. There are millions and millions of women who have had abortions since Roe. Millions of mothers. And abortion is a mother's act. Mother's act. The act of choosing whether or not to have a child is often an act of love and very often an act of survival. I have been asked recently, where were you when you heard that the decision may come down? Where were you? It was sort of like 9/11. Remember when everybody was asking you, where were you? It was that degree of outrage and shock. My first thought was, how could they? How dare they? Even though I've been through the murder of friends and lived on the front line of the abortion wars for 51 years, had death threats. 51 years. And I'm still here, okay? I'm still here. I have been threatened with bombs, continual harassment, evicted 2 times. George Tiller, a dear friend, was shot in the head, but we keep going. But I thought, yes, we keep going. I thought that there were boundaries to their rectitude, their cruelty, and their ambition. How could they be so bold to think that women's lives and women's dreams are there to define and control? How could they reverse a fundamental human and civil right that has been stitched into the fabric of this society? Well, they could, and it looks like they just might. But we will be bolder and bolder and bolder and stop them! We are here to state that women must retain the moral, legal, and constitutional right over her decision whether or not and when to become a mother. Your body is your country and you are the only resident. This is not about love and concern for babies or even what or is or not in the Constitution. This is about power. This is a power struggle. And grafting a Christian fundamentalist ideology onto our most private of decisions. This is about a democratic republic becoming a theocracy. Do you smell it? Do you smell it? I smell the whiffs of an inquisition coming. No exceptions for rape or incest, none for ectopic pregnancies, fetal homicide charges for the woman, life for a doctor. Hey! 51 years ago, I held the hand of the first patient who came to Choices. Her name is Helen, and she was white, married, Catholic, 3 children, but she could not afford to have an abortion. I stayed with her, and her hand and her story is still in my heart. Now, 51 years later, I'm seeing patients who are coming from Texas and Kentucky and other states. And you know, it can't be, and we have to stop it. I also remember where I was when I heard about the Hyde Amendment. And I heard Republican Congressman Henry Hyde say, if we can't save all the babies, we're going to save the babies of the poor. So he cut off Medicaid funding for poor women. Yeah, and it stands today. Do you know that? The Hyde Amendment is voted on every single year. Republican and Democratic presidents let it stand. So we must demand the end of Hyde.
Value life, abortion is a right. Because we value life,
Abortion is a right.
because we value life.
Abortion is a right.
Woo! Now, it is my pleasure to welcome our next speaker, attorney and author. Elizabeth is a former member of the United States House of Representatives and New York City Comptroller. Please welcome Elizabeth Holtzman.
Thank you very much. You look great. You are great. And feel the energy, not just of this crowd, but there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people all over this country saying no to the Supreme Court. We are powerful. And they better start shaking in their boots, because more than half this country is made up of women. And there's some men who love us too. They care about what's going to happen. We're here because we are angry and because we are demanding that we be treated as full, legal human beings under the law. Nobody owns my body. New York State doesn't own my body. Mississippi doesn't own my body. North Dakota doesn't own my body. The United States of America doesn't own my body. And for sure, those 5 people on the Supreme Court, the Ayatollahs of America, they don't own my body either. And who are these judges? They're all, just about all of them, is illegitimately on the court. Clarence Thomas, did he tell the truth about Anita Hill? Brett Kavanaugh? Did we have a full investigation of what happened? No. And what about Amy Coney Barrett? She was rammed in at the last minute. And what about the other judge who was appointed because Merrick Garland was kept out of office? Obama wasn't allowed to have a choice for 8 months. Illegitimate. Wrong. They're not taking our rights away. And one other thing, it's not just that they're taking the rights away from women. And by the way, it's not just grown women. We're talking about children and young girls who are victims of incest and rape. Imagine. But what they are saying is that this wasn't a deep-seated right in the Constitution. I'll be finished in 1 second. But in the and they cite judges and jurists who said we weren't in the Constitution and women have no rights. If you cite people from the 16th and 17th and 18th century who were against women's rights, period, who said women were property, that husbands could beat them, that they could rape them, that they had basically no rights, these are the people we should listen to today? Are we going to ask slave owners what rights black people should have today? Are we going to ask Hitler what rights Jews should have today? We can't be asking these women haters from 300 years ago what rights women have today. We say no. Luther King said, how much longer? Not much longer. We will win.
And now it is my pleasure to introduce one of my mentors, someone who has been a lifelong advocate for women's rights and gender equity rights. She's the co-founder and executive director of the Dominican Women's Development Center, an agency with the mission to empower all women and communities to advance gender equality and social justice. Please welcome Rosita Romero.
Thank you very much. I am very happy to be here. Our organization, the Dominican Women's Development Center, has been advocating for women's rights, abortion rights, for over 33 years. We understand that abortion is about deciding when to have a child, with whom to have a child, and how to have a child. And we will be damned if we're going to let white men decide what to do to our bodies. That's why we're saying we are not going back. We are not going back to the back alleys. We are not going back to the butcher shops. This is something that we support abortion not only in the United States, but also in Latin America and throughout the world. We come from the Dominican Republic. There are only 4 countries in Latin America where abortion is illegal, and the Dominican Republic is one of them. And we are on the green wave to make sure that we stop that, and that all countries have the right where we women can say, my body, my choice. My body, my choice.
Next, I would like to welcome someone who is the Director of Constituent Services for Council Member Kristen Richardson Jordan in Harlem. We're so thrilled to have true allies in the movement. Please give it up for Jasmine Reed.
Hello, beautiful people. Yes, I am honored to be here on behalf of Councilwoman Kristen Richardson Jordan for this important event. Okay? Yes. Overturning Roe v. Wade would have disastrous consequences. As we all know, abortion is health care. Criminalizing abortions will not stop them from happening. It will only prevent people from finding safe methods. So let's talk about it. Compared to carrying a full-term pregnancy, abortions are safe. Every year in the United States, 50,000 people have unexpected outcomes of labor and delivery with serious health consequences. Overturning Roe v. Wade will overwhelmingly harm Black women, who are 3 times more likely to die from a pregnancy-related cause. It will have a greater impact on any and every low-income communities like my own, as those families seeking abortions may not be able to travel to neighboring states where services remain legal. No one should be forced to bear a child against their will, so let's talk about it.
Give it up for Lori!
Let's really cut to the chase. Republican officials don't care about unborn babies. If they did, they would provide health care, free health care. They provide free child care. They provide prenatal care. They don't care. Do you know the U.S. is the only industrialized country that does not provide federally funded child care? And there's no federal law about parental leave. It's up to each company to do it, and we know that that's too risky, that people can lose their jobs if they take parental leave. Particularly men and women will lose out on promotions, so We're the only country that is not providing, the only industrialized country that's not providing these resources and services for women when they become pregnant. So my question is, and the reason why I accepted and why I've been marching and speaking is, I said to myself, if not me, who? If not now, when? Because the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking, right? So they don't care about the unborn. Let me tell you, what is it that Republican legislators care about? Women are becoming too successful. Women are becoming too highly educated. And guess what? The marriage rate is down. Well, we're not getting married, at least heterosexual marriage. Women are not marrying men because of the income and financial resources they can provide. We have our own money. We have our own success.
It is a great pleasure of mine to introduce our next speaker, Sansara Taylor. Let's give it up for Sansara.
How you doing, beautiful people? Do you feel as good as you look? There are few things that are as beautiful as furious women and girls and justice-loving people taking to the streets, standing up, standing shoulder to shoulder and fighting for a better future and a better world. And there could not be a more important time to be in the streets, to be standing up, to be giving voice to your righteous rage than right now. Because the Supreme Court, as we all know, is on track to overturn Roe v. Wade, to decimate women's fundamental right to abortion. This would be an atrocity. This would be an atrocity. Forcing women to have children against their will is barbaric. It shatters lives. It forecloses dreams. It traps women in abuse. It forces women and girls to drop out of school, to lose their jobs, to lose their future, and it tells women. It tells all women and all girls, whether or not they ever become pregnant, that the state, a patriarchal state, views them as less than fully human. Forced motherhood is female enslavement. And if we let them overturn Roe v. Wade, this will not only be a nightmare for women and girls across this country for generations to come, this will not only send shockwaves of nightmare around the world because of the role that the U.S. plays around the world. This will accelerate the Christian fascist juggernaut that is also coming for contraception, for LGBTQ rights, that is also coming for the rights and the lives of black people and other people of color. This is why we say, and we must mean it, and we must back it up with our bodies in the streets, and our voices refusing to fall silent. Overturn Roe? Hell no! Overturn Roe? Hell no! We need to stay in these streets. We need to stay in these streets. And I want to let you know, riseupfораbortionrights.org. We have called for this Thursday, building on the last 2 Thursdays of beautiful outpourings of students and youth across this country, from Kentucky to Tennessee to Colorado to Arkansas to Texas to here in New York City, walking out of school. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. And on an even deeper level, sisters and brothers, beautiful people, they have sought common ground with these religious theocrats. There can be no common ground with those who would enslave women. They have run anti-abortion candidates, and they have ceded the high moral ground to these theocrats and Christian fascists. What else does it mean to say, as Hillary Clinton and so many others did for years, that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare? As if there's something wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with abortion. There is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with women controlling their bodies, their lives, their destinies. That is a great thing. That is a beautiful thing. We need abortion on demand and without apology. And here's another thing that these Democrats don't want to say, and that so much of the movement doesn't want to say. The assault on abortion has always been about controlling women. It has always been about controlling women. It's not about health care in the abstract. Of course abortion is health care, but clinics aren't bombed because it's health care. They're bombed because abortion gives women control over their lives and their destinies. It's not about bodily autonomy. They like to say that in the abstract. These fascists have no problem saying my body, my choice when they want to deny vaccines or masks. They don't have a problem with bodily autonomy. They have a problem with women. Check. All right, thank you guys. Listen, they don't have a problem with bodily autonomy in the abstract. They have a problem with women. And as important as it is, as essential as it is, to stand up against the barbaric, the cruel, the bigoted, and the murderous assaults on LGBTQ people, and in particular trans youth, we have to recognize that the assault on abortion is at its core an assault on women, and we have to tell the truth and we have to name women. And the Christian fascists certainly do. I remember when I first got involved in this fight, going up to defend the last abortion clinic in North Dakota in the 90s. And the religious fanatics who were laying siege to that clinic, they dropped to their knees, and the prayer they said was this. I'll never forget it. Lord, please break this curse of independence that has afflicted women. They go after abortion and they're coming after birth control because it has given women a modicum of control over their lives and their destinies. And we have to call forward the fury of women, the outright unbridled anger and rage of women at thousands and thousands of years of patriarchal chains, thousands of years of brutality, of women treated like punching bags and baby-making machines and sex objects and property of men. We have to unleash the pent-up, the long-suppressed fury that burns in the hearts of women and girls. We need to bring it into these streets to fight right now alongside everybody who cares about justice and a better future. And I want to say to everybody who wants to understand more deeply why this assault is still going on 50 years after this right was won. Why are these Christian fascists, Dark Ages theocrats, packed onto the Supreme Court and having so much power across this land? Why do the Democrats keep capitulating? And what does this have to do with the nature of the system we live under, and all the white supremacy and police terror, and all the terror against immigrants, and all the destruction of the planet, and all the crimes this country commits around the world? If you want to understand that more deeply, I invite you to watch the RNL, the Revolution Nothing Less show that I co-host at youtube.com/therevcom. Come and learn about it. But I want to close by emphasizing this, that right now, as we all know what's coming, but it is not yet law, we have a chance to do what women and girls and society as a whole needs from us. We need to stand shoulder to shoulder, whether you're going to end up voting for the Democrats in November or you're like me and you're trying to make a revolution that gets rid of the whole system that they and the fascist Republicans represent. Wherever you are coming from in this, we need to stand shoulder to shoulder. We need to stay in these streets. We need to raise our voices. We need to bring this country to a halt. So I want to call on everybody. Thursday, May 19th, back here, student walkouts. Thursday, May 26th, nationwide shutdown. Everybody go to the website. RiseUpForAbortionRights.org. Sign up. Volunteer. Don't just turn out, but become an organizer. We need people reaching out to professional athletes, to musicians and celebrities and influencers, to students and religious networks. We need everybody bringing everybody they can into this right now. So I want you to put your fist in the air, and I'm going to close out. When I say overturn Roe, you say hell no. And when I say no retreat, you say stay in the streets. All right? Overturn Roe?
Hell no!
Overturn Roe?
Hell no!
No retreat!
Stay in the streets!
No retreat!
Stay in the streets!
That's right. Thank you.